Break free from inaction now.
Hey Tyler,
Brandon, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Well, not really. I'm sick.
It's like, but I think both of us got up this morning. We're both kind of like hoping the other guy would,
Yeah, cancel. But you
yeah.
never do. You're the Iron Man that like I mean you will be like chain stoking on your deathbed and you'll be like, "Yeah, let's record."
I don't know if it's quite like that.
I know you, man. I know you. It's like come hell or high water. You're getting up and you're going to work and you're doing your thing.
You're
Like you had knee surgery. I remember I went to the hospital the day you had knee surgery and you were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be up tomorrow." Like I'm like, dude, lay down, man. Like
Remember those days, Brandon, on the lawn mowing crew when we would go for like 20 or 25 lawns that we'd have to mow before we'd allow ourselves to go get a drink at Maverick
just so the
just
drink
to see
tasted
if
better.
just just to make the drink taste better.
It was like complete dehydration. I was like, yes, I made 24. Yes, let's go to Mav and get a drink.
I think that's when you started calling me the Iron
Yeah, I
Man.
was like, he's the Iron
The-
Man. He could like he's done 20 lawns and he's getting out and he's trimming. Look at him.
Yeah.
And your face turned into like complete leather because the sun was just beating down on it. Yeah, it's amazing we're still alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amen.
Yeah, but we keep kicking. So,
Yeah.
anyways, do you want to do a review, Tyler?
Let's wait till next episode, Brandon. We'll just jump in. We've
Let's save
been
our time.
Yeah, let's save our time and let's jump in with Tanner here.
Okay.
Tanner is somebody that I've known for several years and really awesome guy. Really glad he's willing to come on. Got a great question today. So Tanner, welcome to the show, and how can we help?
Thanks, Tyler and Brandon. I I guess I'm here just to help figure out how to get unstuck with where I'm at. My journey started, oh, like everybody's a long, long time ago, but I was introduced to pornography probably about 8 years old. Uh, Struggled with pornography use basically my entire life, and it's still an active struggle. Um, Served an LDS mission, was still a struggle through my LDS mission, and then uh, struggled when I got home. And then a lot of stuff happened in between all of that. But eventually I came to a place where I wanted to improve my life. I wanted to get married. I wanted to find somebody to share my life with. I found that person. And then roughly 6 months before we got married, and a month before we got engaged, I opened up to her about my struggles with pornography and masturbation, and we she took it really well. She was really accepting, but I also expressed to her, hey, before we do this, I want you to see me. I want you to understand as much as of this as you can. And we got into, at the time, it was the Addo recovery group with Tyler. We did I think the foundations course together at the time. And it was really, really good. We learned a lot kind of going into our marriage, trying to set a good precedent moving forward. Um, and found better sobriety probably that time in my life than I ever had. Leading up to that, I think there were some good goals. There were some things I just really wanted to do as part of my life with my wife. And then after we got married, it was really, really good for about 6 months, which is typically the time frame I see for most guys. Things are good for about 6 months, and then you realize, oh, life is still hard, things get in the way, and you fall back into bad habits. Um, and at that time, I had also been called into a young married student work bishopric. Fully disclosed my pornography use as part of that. They still wanted me to do it. And then that experience kind of that experience being in the bishopric kind of shook me up in the sense of my faith and my beliefs, kind of seeing some of the background stuff and how things were done. Just kind of, I had a lot of questions anyway, and it just kind of opened all that up. After that, we had our first child, which was incredible, but I was finishing up school at the time. Life gets really complicated and difficult with children. Still fell back into old pornography habits and just haven't really found my way since then. Um, a year and a half after that, we had our second child, decided we needed to shift who was working full time because I had finished up schools with the kids. My wife wanted to come home. We ended up moving to Rexburg, Idaho with her parents for a while. And at that time, that's when I really kind of stepped away from the church. I had a pretty traumatic experience while I was up there. Sorry. I was actually doing UPS seasonal delivery at the time, just side work. And there was a college student up at BYU, Idaho, who was crossing 4-lane street. And somebody didn't see that he was crossing, and I was in the other lane, and he was hit. I was first on site. He was killed. Died on the way to the hospital afterwards. And I think because he was a return missionary on his way to the temple, that was my I guess really triggering event for me, stepping away from my faith and trying to reevaluate how to operate in that realm, also while having two children. And since then, it's been about 3 years since then. Still just really struggled with pornography and masturbation since this entire time too, and just really trying to find my way through that. I've had also some other kind of family traumas. Just feels like a lot over the last, this feels like a lot in my lifetime, but
Tanner, how's your
that's
marriage? How's your marriage doing?
um we're it's not amazing. I wouldn't say it's great, but we're still both really committed to each other. Um, I I don't personally have any concerns about divorce or anything going that way. I think we just find ourselves really stuck and want to not be stuck anymore. Uh, no, I don't know. There's a lot of trauma there. There's a lot of I've been doing a lot of the assignments. The trauma tree is one I started to get into and found out there's a lot of low-hanging fruit on that tree for me, especially over the past, really the past 5 years. And then a lot of stuff coming up from childhood. I don't know if it's that kind of stuff that gets in the way. Um, but anyway.
Gotcha. So your marriage is in an okay place. It almost sounds like you guys can relate with being stuck, but you're kind of resonating together in that stuckness. Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
we both really feel just, where do we go next? Where do we go from here? How can we find just some happiness in the day-to-day doldrums of life? Uh,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, the first thing I just want to say, Tanner, is I mean, some of that stuff that you just mentioned is heavy, hard stuff to go through, and um, man, that stuff, those kinds of things really do change your life instantly. Um, so thank you for sharing, and hopefully today we can get into some things to help a little bit. Could I ask you? You know, you told us a lot of your story, and like the question you're asking is, I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling like I'm just kind of like spinning my wheels, and that I'm guessing that's in relation to recovery, that's in relation to sobriety, that's in relation to your marriage. Is that in relation to your spirituality too? Are they all connected? Because you mentioned kind of all of those things. Are they all in the same realm, or what do you mean by being stuck?
Yeah, I think just all of it. I just feel really stuck, trapped, and honestly, the pornography at this point just feels like a it, it, it's hard to explain, but it almost just feels like this kind of side thing that is a problem, but isn't always at the forefront of my mind in terms of the things that I I don't know how to explain that. Um, it doesn't feel so important in terms of where I'm at and where I'm trying to get and the things that are in the way right now. Um, I don't know if that makes sense at all, but
Yeah.
it just feels secondary to some of the other things that are going on.
What you say things that are in the way? Like what things are in the way right now?
Um, I feel like I've been doing a lot of processing uh related to a lot of my traumas. Um, there's they said that I've got a lot of low-hanging fruit, and a lot of it feels just really crushing right now. Um, gosh, I was planning on this.
You're okay, Tanner.
Um, I think I'd like to uh, eventually tackle the pornography, but it almost feels like it's the only thing, um, like it's the only thing keeping me okay right now, which sucks, but when it's been your coping mechanism for everything since you were 8 years old, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Um,
Tanner, what are you avoiding? Like what the pornography soothes, it medicates, it also makes you feel alive. It excites. So it does a lot of things for you, but it also shows that, that it feels like there's something there, that something you need to reconcile, something you need to deal with. Maybe it's the faith, expansion that you're going through is painful and hard and difficult, and your relationship with God is confusing, and maybe it's that.
Tenuous.
Maybe it's the trauma that you went through when you witnessed that accident. Maybe it's something deep down from childhood that is there, and that those experiences, the trauma is still underneath, and so you have this thing, pornography, and it could be anything, but you have pornography that's like, hey, I'll take care of you. Um, but why do you need to soothe? Why do you need to medicate? Is there ways to actually turn toward those things one by one and step into the cave and deal with them, and then have those things actually turn into things that bless you and give you wisdom, and also inform you in terms of your purpose and what your next steps are in life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that's probably more the heart of my question today is how, like I know of all of these kind of big T traumas. There's little T traumas in there too, but kind of that low hanging fruit. I'm looking at those things, and I guess I don't know what to do with them and how to get through to the next thing.
Mhm.
And there's just a lot. Like, so I've heard about EMDR and ACT and some of these other things that I probably need to get into, but um yeah, I just don't know how to confront I think any of this. And I think I just never have. or I've never really faced it.
Yeah. And it makes sense why you wouldn't want to face it. You know, Brandon always says the quote on here, you know, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And it sounds like a part of what's happening in your life right now. And I don't know what your beliefs about God are or not right now. You get to have your own wrestle with those things. But the idea is that at least it's a common idea, not just in Christianity, but you know, in Buddhism too, that sometimes the pathway through is the, you know, the Robert Frost quote, the best way out is always through. And now you're in a spot now, it sounds like, Tanner, in your own journey where on one hand, I'm actually kind of refreshed to hear that sobriety isn't your top priority. Um, I think you probably spent way too many years of your life clinging to sobriety as the answer to somehow you were going to be good enough, and now you're diving in and actually starting to confront some of the things that push the addiction. And you're right; it makes total sense that the acting out is the medicine, and it's doing its job to provide medication, but it's also part of what's gutting you from being able to go into the cave that you're now standing right outside. You know, you're doing the trauma tree assignment, and I would guess, and I would want to ask you this, like before you do the trauma tree, there's also an assignment about identifying your kind of core beliefs. Did you do that one?
No, I saw the trauma tree assignment listed and I said, well, and I've been working with John a little bit, and John was like, yeah, you got a lot of low-hanging fruit. I don't know if you're ready for that yet. And so I think I haven't even done the assignment really. I've just kind of taken a look at it, and then all of these things started to pop up.
Yeah.
Um, that I've always known about it, just kind of put off to the side. Um, so no, I have not done the one before that, but that's an area I'm also struggling.
In a lot of ways. So those would be the things that could potentially help you as you're stepping into this. Now the question you're having is how do I step into it? Because something about that, and I'm picturing this, Tanner, I'm picturing you kind of finally kind of walking this path through a dark forest. Finally you emerge in a clearing, and up ahead there's a rock wall with a big cave on it, and you can almost feel the breath of the dragon coming out of the cave, and you're like, oh, I'm finally in a spot where that's where I really need to start going. And now you're standing outside the cave kind of feeling the warmth of the dragon's breath and going like, but do I really need to go in there right now? Like I what are you so afraid you're going to meet when you go into the cave, Tanner? What are you afraid you're going to confront that causes you such paralysis?
Um, I mean, I think there's a piece that's, um, I think I'm afraid of who I think I'm afraid of who I think I am. Um, I've had, oh, about a year ago, this is another trauma. This one's more recent. So, about a year ago, my dad, who, um, I've been pretty well best friends with my entire life, um, he had some business dealings and some hard things happen where he, uh, basically lost his mind. Um, he had done some things that kind of came out that got discovered, and he ended up really suicidal and ended up in the Huntsman Mental Health Institute for about 2 weeks. He got out about a year ago, and he's just basically a kind of a mental vegetable at this point. I can't really figure out why, but since then, I think I've just kind of had this fear that if I dig into these things and find out, am I gonna, you know, go the route that my dad did? And
Mm,
there's just a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear
yeah.
about what could happen if I confront these things. Um, So I think there's some maybe fear of the truth, fear of uh I don't know if it's just fear.
That Tanner, that makes so much sense. Because like what I'm hearing is that the issue here is about control. Um, you're doing what you can to control things to make sure that bad things don't happen. And one of your strategies in doing that is to stay stuck, to kind of just stay where you're at. Because if you go and you put yourself out there, if you walk through this cave, then you might lose your mind. You might, realize that you're just like your dad. And so it's easier to go stay in that state of fear and control than it is to actually step through that vulnerable place. That makes so much sense. But there's a fallacy in it all, and there's a broken belief here. Because, well, I mean, are you more likely to be healthy, like with your mental health, if you stay in a state of fear and control, or if you heal?
No, if I heal.
Well,
Absolutely.
maybe there's a risk to that,
Well, I
right?
think it's and that's the mind game I play all the time is, well, the pain that I know. The pain that I don't, I fear. And
Yeah,
so that's the stuck place.
yeah.
But I know it's not going to get better staying where I'm at because right now just it's awful anyway. So
Tanner, is there a purpose to all this? Is there a purpose to this experience you've been through with your dad? Is there a purpose to you seeing that accident? Is there a purpose to you looking at pornography when you're 8 years old? Like, is there a purpose to all this stuff?
um I think that's one of the things I've wrestled a lot with, especially over the past 3 years, especially even over the past 6 months. It's just seeing kind of these really crappy things happen, um, and trying to figure out what that means. And I don't know if there is a purpose, but I'd like to make one out of it. Um,
Okay. That's an honest answer. I like that answer. You don't know whether there is or not, but you have it within you to either believe there is or believe there isn't, right?
yeah.
Um, but if you
That's
stay in a state of numbing and avoidance of feeling these things, then you won't understand and you won't get the blessing of what it all means, because you're on the outside avoiding actually going through what you're going to get from those things. So
the funny thing about that too is that when you take a look at the facts and the reality of your situation, that's about the only thing or one of the few things that you actually really do have control over in all of this. Like is how you decide to choose to see these things and experience these things. I've got and it sounds like you're in the process of working yourself into this kind of a place. I've got a quote here on my desk that says it's from Viktor Frankl, and you know the classic Man's Search for Meaning. But he says, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And right now, you have a lot of situation in your life you can't change. You can't go back and change watching someone get hit and killed. You can't go back and change having your dad have a nervous breakdown. You can't go back and change the fact that you were exposed to pornography at 8 years old. So, so when you come to an understanding that the more you scramble to try to not live in the reality that those things are actually part of your life, the more you will suffer trying to control it all. And when you actually learn to understand that maybe you have control over how you choose to see it and what you choose to believe, that you've always had that but never known it because things had just been automatic, that's when the changes can start to actually take place. Um, I want to ask you, you said I'm afraid of going into the cave because of what I might find that I believe about myself. What are you afraid you're going to find, Tanner?
Um, I think confronting my own dishonesty, uh, my at times lack of integrity, my um, and the demons that I know are there that I want to change and shift. That I don't know. I think I have a fear of being found out, which is crazy because I'm on this podcast episode basically
Yeah. Yeah.
telling everybody.
What are you gonna be found out about,
I don't know.
Tanner? What's the fear? Like, what are they gonna find out? What are you gonna find out? What are you afraid of finding out?
And who is they?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even. I guess maybe that I'm weak, and I think I'm afraid to fail. Maybe not being found out, but confronting it all and having it mean nothing, or confronting it all and just finding out I couldn't handle it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Go one
That
step.
strikes more of a nerve, I guess.
Go one step further with that, Tanner. So if you and or everyone else, whoever they is, finds out that you're weak and that you're a failure, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Why are you so afraid of it? What does it mean if people see you as weak and a failure?
Um, I guess maybe just that I'm not enough.
It's scary because you believe that.
You
That's why
believe
it's
you're not
scary.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
It's
that's you just said it out loud, Tanner.
yeah.
shame is our view. Well, Brené Brown talks about how shame is the view of ourself through someone else's eyes. Um, and so you're afraid that you might get found out as the fraud that you are, as the not enough, broken, not good man that you are. And that's what you believe. Now, Tyler and I, we can sit here. I just met you, Tanner, and I can say that's absolutely not who you are. But for years and years and years, for some reason, there's been these faulty core beliefs that have driven themselves home so far that they are your identity.
You don't even question them.
Yeah. And to change that identity is going to be uncomfortable and require some courage on your part to start to say, I'm amazing. I'm weak, but I am strong because I can own my weakness. Um, I'm a good man. I'm a good father. I'm a good husband. In so many ways, and I don't have to prove that. I can just be. Now, all I can say all this stuff, and it sounds wonderful, but the fact of the matter is you have to have a shift within your soul to understand who you actually are. Tyler and I can't talk this into your head about how wonderful Tanner is. Now, in order to have that shift, and we're going to get to the answer here to your question of like, how do I enter the cave? How do I deal with this stuff? The experiences that you've had are are the opportunities God is giving you to step in and discover something new. Okay. So, but you have to listen. You have to listen, or else you'll just hold it. You'll hold the pain inside of you. Your body will feel it. Your mind will be tormented. You have to listen to the pain. Okay, just like I was talking about with Tyler and us not. I mean, it was a really bad example, especially for this episode.
Terrible.
Us not drinking all day long, right? At like the fifth lawn that we mowed, and we're dying of thirst. It's good for us to stop and say, "Whoa, what is my body telling me?" And we have to go into that discomfort to say, "I need to listen to what I need here. I need to listen to this." When you're really, really good at pain tolerance, that creates suffering. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you can look at this and say, I feel pain, Now, what you might need to do to go into that pain is sob, is to have it out with God, to journal, to do some deep breath work or some mindfulness, to go there, to you need to let go and let God.
Which
And
is
there's
really hard, Brandon, when God is part of the wrestle.
yes. And the uncertainty of God is part of the wrestle, but can you hold that? Can you be okay with, I don't know if God's going to show up for me. I don't know what God is. And I'm going to just like let go and stop numbing this out, stop telling myself that I'm horrible, all the old systems, and I'm going to just allow myself to feel. I can feel the emotion inside of you, Tanner, the tension, just the built up stuff that you hold every single day. Now, how you let that go, what works for you, you have to discover,
I
right?
think I think that's where I'm at because I've had, I mean, so I drive a lot. I'm in my truck constantly. I live out of my truck for my job. I'm in roofing and all I do is drive. Um, and I think for the past 6 months, I think I have anytime I have like an hour stretch or something emotional triggers me, I think I cry for, I've had multiple 30 to hour long cries in my truck on the way
I
places.
love it. Good.
And like they've been good, but I'm also, okay, I'm crying a lot. I can't keep that in anymore. What do I do with it now?
Are you crying because you're like surrendering and letting go? Or are you crying because
You're
you're
afraid.
in you're just in so much anguish and you don't know what to do and you're just do you see the difference?
Yeah, most of it's gonna be. I've had one that um, there was a moment I was probably about 3 weeks ago. I was driving from Logan to Bear Lake, Utah, and I was driving through the canyon. There was a light snowfall, but the sun was still shining. It was beautiful, and I heard this. I was listening to this song that it was called "Amen," a song called "Amen" by oh, I
Hmm.
can't remember the artist, but it just something just flipped inside of me, and it was just a moment of like, I don't know what I believe about God right now, but something was speaking through to my heart, and
Hmm.
that one felt therapeutic. Um, because it was a not just a suffering, but hey, there's a path out, kind of a cry. So
Hmm.
I know the difference. I felt it.
It's interesting, Tanner. Some of your fears, you said you got these fears of not being enough, being seen as an imposter, having to confront your lack of honesty, which something somehow means something to you about you, probably because it's one of your core values that you feel bad when you betray it. Um, and when you're standing on the outside of the cave, isn't it interesting that you could articulate what you're already afraid of finding in there, but you're too afraid to go in there? So you just stand outside and just experience it all without doing anything to move through it. But you're already experiencing the worst of it right now. Like your subconscious is already eating you alive, saying, I don't want you to go in there because you're going to find this, and when you get through it all, then there's going to be something on the other side that we don't even know what it is yet. So I'm just going to stay here and suffer. And I would bet that you're suffering as much or more now than you would be in the dark of the cave.
Oh, that sucks.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I would bet that that's true. If you're
Probably.
if you're like a lot of our other clients that we work with.
The usually the suffering is this the cave itself is not the suffering. The suffering is before you step into it. And a lot of times, just like what Tyler's saying, like you step into it or you get through it and you're like, well, that was like so not that hard. Like that felt so good. Like what was I freaking out about? Like
Why did I take so long?
And I realize we're talking about some serious stuff. Watching a man die, like, it's pretty serious. Having your dad go through what he went through, that's pretty serious. But we're talking about taking that stuff and then and feeling what you need to feel around it, whatever it is. Um, and you'll come out on the other end and say, "Oh, like I'm like it's okay. Things are okay. What was I so scared of?" Right? But right now you're on the front of it, Tanner.
Yeah.
Right?
So Brannon, I want to just say a couple of things, and then, when you were talking earlier, Brannon, about this, I got this image in my mind while you were talking to Tanner just a second ago about all this stuff, this control that he's got going on, the anxiety that's there, the fear that's there, the core beliefs of I'm a failure, I'm weak, I'm inadequate, which, by the way, maybe you are a failure because we all are sometimes, and maybe you are weak because we all are sometimes, and maybe it's what you think about failure and weakness that's the issue rather than the failure and the weakness itself. Um, but there's all of that there. And Brandon, while you were talking, I almost feel like I could see it in Tanner's body language today while he's talking. Like you can see in his eyes the pain that all of that is causing. And it feels like that is almost a callous over what is otherwise just a genuinely good-hearted, solid, soft-hearted guy.
Yeah.
And that never gets to manifest itself. It's there. It's already there. It's not like you have to go and like what you're on right now is more of a reclamation mission than you are of like a do I even have a heart? It's like, no, I've got to go and dig through all of the scars that have been placed over the top in the form of my beliefs and my fears and my anxieties. And just it's like doing archaeology work. I just need to uncover the truth again.
Yeah.
Because the truth is anybody who's watching this right now can feel underneath all of this the truth of who you are. They can see it in your eyes, man. They can hear it in your tone of voice.
Yep.
I just feel like I'm on this, kind of like you said, this, like I've seen the light, I've seen what I can be, and um, Brandon, you'll actually appreciate this, Brandon. I've done some plant medicine
I
journeys.
was just gonna bring that up. Nice.
I,
Psilocybin or ayahuasca or
I've done psilocybin and ketamine.
nice.
Ketamine I did through the Bloom group, and um, not as big of a fan of the ketamine as I was of the psilocybin.
Yeah. What did the
The,
psilocybin tell you?
um,
what did it show you? And were you able to let go
yeah,
into it and actually like let it talk to you?
yeah, so I did a hero's trip. First time I'd ever
Oh, wow.
I did I
You
think I
went
did
for it.
I
Was
I
like,
went all in.
yeah,
I think I did about 4 grams.
yeah, that's a decent
Um,
dose.
it was an all day thing, but the and it was what's crazy, it was the same things that were revealed through the ketamine. It was like you are good, you are enough, you
Yeah,
are um it pulled all of those things out, and I saw the light. And then the post psilocybin was great because it was like that little voice in the back of my head that told me I wasn't enough was gone for
yeah.
3 or 4 months. It just was not there anymore.
When did you do it?
It's been, oh, I think it's been about 2 years.
Okay. Yeah,
I did it a little bit after the or the accident where I saw the kid die.
gotcha.
Um, and it helped process, but I think it was just life gets in the way, and there's a lot of stuff that happens, and other things come up and happen.
But listen to what you said, 3 or 4 months, that voice went away.
Yeah, it was awesome. That
Yeah.
just even just dealing with daily stuff because of that voice being gone, everything was just a little simpler.
Yeah.
Not easier, but simpler. Just not having that stupid voice.
Yeah.
But um, I think that the biggest thing though is that both of the things those experiences did was just it showed me who I was. And it
Mm.
was the good and the bad, right? It was like all of me was revealed to me through those experiences. Um, and so I think because of that, like Tyler said, I know what's there. I'm just trying to figure out how to uncover it, unbury it from all of these things.
Yeah. You've experienced it. You've felt it.
Yeah.
Um, Now it sounds like there could have been some more what I call integration
Oh,
in
absolutely.
the process of that. And what I mean by that is take what you learned and take what you felt and actually really start to feel it in your life, not just in the journey, but afterwards. Like, what does that mean, and how do you live day in and day out in that place?
Right.
Um, but I mean, it's so good that that's what I'm talking about when I say let go and let God, have a soul shifting experience. Like that's what I'm talking about. And you've done that already, and that's beautiful. And guess what? Those old voices, they don't just go, those demons don't just go away easily.
No,
And then here they come right back
they
and
come back with a vengeance.
with a vengeance. And so you got to come back and say, okay, like there you are again. And you can thank them and you can see them and you can say, I'm going to actually tap back into some of those feelings that I've had that I know because I've experienced that. And I'm going to figure out how to tap back into that every single day with my dailies, with everything that I'm doing. One thing, because we're running low on time, Tanner, I want to say to you, I would question the therapy that you're doing. And I don't want to question your therapist or anything, but I think you're ready to go do the trauma work. I think you're ready to dive in and deal with it. You can wait your whole life to be in the perfect place to do it, or you can just start really doing it. Now, you've done some trauma work, you've done some plant medicine,
Yeah.
um, but you're like, I might not focus so much on sobriety, and though I don't know if you're focusing on that or not, but like, I wouldn't focus so much there. I'd just start going and doing the ART, doing the EMDR, focusing on reprocessing and releasing the energy around those traumatic experiences that you've had in your life. Um, and, I might suggest another journey. Um, and whether it's psilocybin or breath work, something that will open you up again, open those parts of you that have felt and seen those things. But with that journey, I would engage in a process of integration to really start to understand who you are day in and day out. There's so much hope for you, Tanner.
Yeah.
Um, you don't have to live in this pain your whole life.
Thank
So,
you. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the next steps I think I want to take, either whether I know Tyler, the Love Strong group, and Logan does the hypertropic breathing sessions occasionally. I know those have been pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think regardless, it's just doing better integration, probably with some therapeutic help on the side with what I kind of decide to do next. But
are you,
Yeah.
Tanner? Tyler, is he in your group? Are you in?
He's in a group here at Love Strong that John runs.
Okay. The reason I ask is, um, yeah, I have a group. I'm going to start a group in February, but as part of that group, um, we do a journey, a plant medicine journey, and we do integrative work. The whole group is centered around go enter that cave. What do you do afterwards? How do you process that? How do you put that into your life? Um, and so, but I don't want to take. I was thinking maybe you could just keep doing the group that you're doing, but put that into your process in group and integrate it. Um, but there's different options out
um,
there.
I I'd be interested in that, Brandon, if we want to discuss it more.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that would
I'll
be
let you know more information. So
interesting.
I don't want to take away from anything that you're doing, but
I'm to the point where I will do. I think I've come to the point where I'm willing to do just about anything and everything right now.
yeah,
to not stay where I'm at and not feel the pain anymore.
I think you're actually on the right track too, Tanner. And I would say like you already have some bones that are there for some structure to some of this healing now. You just don't know it yet because you're still in the darkness. But there's a few things to just add to what Brandon said. If you were actually doing the curriculum that you're doing in group, you're right where you should be. That
Yeah.
false agreements assignment, the trauma tree assignment, and what comes after that is an opportunity for some of that stuff Brennan's talking about, an actual emotional. There's an experience that's designed for you to go and fully experience. And so you're sitting on a gold mine right now.
Yeah.
The key is to figure out you've got support, you've got possibilities, you have a team, you have all those things. Those things matter. So you have good bones.
Right.
And then I see this as a twofold kind of a thing. One is what Brandon's talking about. You've already had some experience that has had some emotional shift where there's something in you that actually knows that deep down inside, you've got real goodness. You can still like, and I like where Brandon's going with this. Your dailies now aren't focused around not acting out. Your dailies are around recultivating the energy you felt after your journey. That's what your dailies are geared.
Yeah.
So you have to wake up every day and go, how do I reconnect to that truth that I felt for 3 or 4 months? I'm on a quest. And if it takes one item or if it takes 15 items today, I'm on a quest to feel just a little sliver of that again today.
I'm not gonna turn into my dad, and I'm not that, like that's not where I'm at. I'm actually who the psilocybin told me that I am. That's who I truly am. And so how do I tap into that? Just like Tyler's saying, every day. Like what dailies do I do to feel that? Maybe it's a little bit of breathing in the morning. Maybe it's a little journaling. Maybe it's just listening to that song that you listen to on that
Mm.
drive. I listen to one song every single day that I love. Um, and so there's all kinds of things, but you want to do things that stir your soul a little bit and get you resonating in that place of like, hey, like I know who I am and I know what I'm doing here.
Right.
So
If you're doing those things, that's like the seed that got planted when you started to have this shift. You got to cultivate the seed. You got to give it some fertilizer, and that's what your dailies are. And
Right.
then you've got your support of what you're doing with the curriculum right now already. I think would actually be really helpful. And then I would say what Brandon said. Your next step is some individual stuff. I think perfect. You would be a perfect spot right now to do some ART or some EMDR.
yeah,
Like I don't think you should wait on it either. Like
No.
you've been standing outside the cave for too long. You've suffered long enough. Get in that office and give it everything you got, man.
yeah,
Like, yeah, go dive into that work because it will help you. I mean,
Right.
I'm confident it's going to help you based off of what our conversation has been today.
yeah.
So
I think I'm ready. I know I'm ready to do that. I've been looking at appointments for the past month. So
let's just also say, Tanner, that you might already get this sense, and there's going to be a weird mix of things that happens right after we get off this call. But what you just did today was action. Like your question was, how do I get out of inaction? And you just did what thousands of people listening right now haven't had the courage to do.
uh,
So, so there was some kind of action in what you're choosing to do right now. So it's not that you're not capable of action.
thank you.
Tanner,
Needed that today.
Tanner, we got to wrap this up, but I just appreciate you coming on, appreciate your vulnerability, and your willingness to do this with us. And um, I feel like you're on the cusp of some really good stuff. You're in a lot of pain right now, but yet some good things are going to happen here. And I don't think this is the last I'll see of you either. And I'm excited to kind of see where your journey goes next.
Thanks. I think more than anything, I look at my past, I look at things I've been through, and I want to make it mean something.
Yeah.
I want to make it I want to make it mean something good. for me and for my family and for the people I interact with every day.
God's working through you. I promise you, you might not know
You
that.
don't see it yet,
Yeah.
but you're, and this will make you mad right as we hang up, but with everything that you've experienced and been through, you're sitting on a gold mine. You just haven't figured out how to mine it yet.
Yep.
So, but you're on the way. You're well on the way. To those of you guys listening, thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments, for your support. If you resonate with what Tanner's been saying, throw a shout out on a review or something on the comments section here. And we're so glad that you're here with us. And until next time, you guys.